Today's episode of the Riderflex podcast is sponsored by our friends at TrueFace, a computer vision company teaching cameras to see like human beings. Visit them at trueface.ai. And on today's episode of the Riderflex podcast, tips for first-time CEOs. For those of you that listen to the show on a regular basis, you know that we have guests on all the time. Those guests are usually startup founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, board members, etc. People who have ran companies or started companies themselves. I will often ask those guests a series of questions. One of them usually is, hey, what advice do you have for first-time CEOs or aspiring CEOs? Thought I'd ask myself the question and give you my own tips here. I ran a couple of $40 million companies in my past as a CEO, COO, and president. So I think I can speak on the topic. Here are 5 tips. And in fact, let's call it 7. The title of the podcast is 5 tips, but after I already put up this fancy background that you see here on the video podcast, I came up with 2 more. So two bonus tips in here for you, if you will. Number 1, tips for first-time CEOs. Number 1, really it's team. I mean, surround yourself with the best possible people. Now, I know that sounds like a no-brainer, and you've heard that probably a million times, especially if you're an aspiring CEO and you've read books and listened to podcasts. But it's easy to forget about because you get going, right? You get in the job, the day-to-day happens. There's so many things going on that you really, it's easy to forget that it's all about the team. So I just want to encourage you, number 1, as soon as you get in the spot, as soon as you're promoted, as soon as you're hired, before you do anything else, make team changes, hire the right people, surround yourself with the right leadership team. It's critical. And it's really easy to take the job, get started in the day-to-day. The next thing you know, 6 months have gone by and you still really haven't surrounded yourself with the right people. That's number 1. Make damn sure you surround yourself with the best possible team right away. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, tips for CEOs. Listen. Talk less and listen more. To get to the CEO level, you probably had to talk a lot, right? Because you're sharing ideas, you're implementing projects, you're getting promoted, etc. You're trying to get people to notice you and so forth. Once you get to the CEO position, it's really important for you to listen more. If you have the right leadership team in place, go to them for feedback, recommendations, etc., and listen to them. Whether it's in the team meetings or during your one-on-one touch bases, just listen. I often find that first-time CEOs, because they have spent most of their career talking and showing people, how smart they are to get promoted. Once they get promoted, they keep talking and they don't listen enough. So number 2 is listen. Learn how to listen more and talk less when you get to the CEO level. Number 3, find yourself a confidant, right? Find yourself a fellow CEO or a mentor, somebody or a couple of those types of people that you can talk to privately and secretly. Somebody that you trust, somebody that you can call at 11:30 p.m. at night when you're having a panic attack. Okay, maybe not a panic attack, but you're super stressed about whatever it might be. When you get to the CEO level, it's super lonely at the top. You can't really tell your direct reports everything. Your spouse or your partner at home doesn't truly understand what you're going through because they're not in it. So find yourself somebody to talk to. Number 3 is find yourself a confidant that you can call at any time and express your deepest, darkest, stressful secrets about the job. It will be critical. If you don't have that outlet, you're going to find all the stress just bottling up inside. So that's number 3. Number 4, be present. That's right. Be in the moment. What happened to me, and I think it happens to lots of CEOs, is once you get there, you're so worried about doing a good job. You're so stressed about it, quote, working out, that you start letting your mind drift on what's next, or what are you going to do if this doesn't work out? So then you start making preparations for that, right? You start thinking, well, if this goes bad, I need to make sure I have X, Y, and Z set up. And so I want to work on the backup plan and all this other stuff. And that can eat away at you psychologically. So just try not to let that happen. Be in the moment, be 100% present, and don't let your mind drift to the what if and what you're going to do if it doesn't work out. Number 5, take time off. I mean, I know that sounds, like common sense, but really don't think that an 80-hour work week for 6 months in a row is going to make you a better CEO. It really won't. It won't. Trust me, I've done it. It won't. Take your time off, enjoy your days off, enjoy your vacations, and get away and learn how to do that, because it will help you reflect. It'll help you have some quiet time, which will end up making you a better CEO. It'll help you make better decisions. You won't be as stressed, and you'll just be a nicer person overall for your employees and your family. So take time off is number 5. Number 6, it's a super stressful job, which usually means you are more you are more likely to following a vice of some kind, whether that be drinking or some kind of drug, some kind of addiction. It's easy to fall into. Hey, like most of the people I know, I enjoy a cocktail and I like to have a drink, but I can tell you that when I was a CEO for the first time, I probably drank heavier than I ever had during my off time, because it was just super stressful, and that was my way to escape. That can get out of hand. I've seen it destroy people. So whatever your vice is, just be careful not to let that go too far down a dark path once you get into the CEO position. And number 7, my final piece of advice is this: try to enjoy the ride just a little bit, because the reality is you're not going to be CEO forever. I mean, you aren't. Nobody is. In fact, you can Google it. I think the average CEO lasts like 3.5 years or something like that. And there will be a day where you're, quote, over the hill a little bit, and your days of CEO will be over, and you won't have another chance at that job. And when you reflect back, you're going to want to remember it as a good time. So as stressful as the job can be, just remember, try to enjoy the moment, because it is not going to last forever. Try to have a good time. Try to enjoy being a captain while you're there. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.